Here we will see table control in ASP.NET. Table control is used to structure a web page. It divides a web page into several rows and columns to arrange the information or images. Table control basically used for controlling the layout on the page. ASP.NET Table Control provides dynamic way to design a table at runtime. That is, we can dynamically add rows or columns at the runtime or change the appearance of the table. The table control can be created using the design section by dragging and dropping the control from the ASP.NET toolbar window, or it can also be created from the markup section using the code ASP table ID and run at server. Different properties of table controls are ID, which is used to gets or sets the programmatic identifier assigned to the control. Access key is used to gets or sets the access key that allows user to quickly navigate the web server control. Back color property is used to gets or sets the background color of the web server control. Back image URL is used to gets or sets the URL of the background image to display behind the table control. Binding container property is used to get the control that contains this control's data binding. Border color property is used to gets or sets the border color of the web control. Border style property is used to gets or sets the border style of the web server control. Border width property is used to gets or sets the border width of the web server control. Caption property is used to gets or sets the text rendered in an HTML caption element in a table control. Caption align property is used to gets or sets the horizontal or vertical position of the HTML caption element in a table control. Cell padding property is used to gets or sets the amount of space between the contents of a cell and cell's border. Cell spacing property is used to gets or sets the amount of space between the cells. CSS class property is used to gets or sets the cascading style sheet class rendered by the web server control on the client. Enable property is used to gets or sets the value indicating whether the web server control is enabled. Font property is used to get the font properties associated with the web server control. Forecolor property is used to gets or sets the foreground color, that is color of the text of the web server control. Grid lines property is used to gets or sets the grid line style to display in the table control. Height property is used to gets or sets the height of the web server control. Rows property is used to get the collection of rows in the table control. Visible property is used to gets or sets a value that indicates whether a server control is rendered as an UI on the page. Tab index property is used to gets or sets the tab index of the web server control. Tooltip property is used to gets or sets the text displayed when the mouse pointer hovers over the web server control. Different methods for table controls are data bind, which binds a data source to the invoked server control and its child controls. Dispose method enables a server control to perform final cleanup before it is released from memory. Focus method is used to set the input focus to a control. And toString method returns a string that represents the current object. Different events for table controls are data binding, which occurs when the server control binds to a data source. Disposed event occurs when a server control is released from memory, which is the last stage of the server control lifecycle. Init event occurs when the server control is initialized, which is the first step in its lifecycle. Load event occurs when the server control is loaded into the page object. Pre-render event occurs after the control object is loaded but prior to rendering. And unload event occurs when the server control is unloaded from memory.